No! 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 No!
So, one thing that I've been preaching or talking about for a long time is that Disney and Electronic Arts making a deal for Star Wars was one of the worst things to ever happen. Star Wars in gaming has always been something, I don't know, it's a franchise that has worked really well in the past. We've seen some of the amazing titles, which includes the early LEGO Star Wars titles. Those were pretty fun. We have Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, arguably two of the best games ever made in my opinion. BioWare and Obsidian knocked those games out. Even the early Star Wars Battlefront titles were amazing by Pandemic Studios. Really, honestly, in the early 2000s, Star Wars was at its best in gaming. There was just so many good titles. Even Star Wars The Force Unleashed, I know a lot of people were mixed on that, but I really did enjoy it. Then there was Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, that was pretty awesome too, and that we could go down the list. There's a lot of amazing games. Star Wars Republic Commando, and then there was the ambitious Star Wars 1313, which unfortunately never got to see the light of day. Now, I was kind of hoping that with Electronic Arts back in 2014 when the announcement came that they were taking it on, that we're going to have BioWare making this ambitious, maybe KOTOR 3. That was my expectation. And there was all kinds of cool things. Even Star Wars Battlefront, the first, when it was announced, the reboot of the franchise, with DICE behind it, I was like, yeah, this could really work. But we're years into it now, and it's been pretty crappy. And it got worse when Visceral Games was shut down, and their linear Star Wars game, which was being compared to Uncharted in ways, was nixed. If you don't recall, this was the explanation Electronic Arts gave for shutting down Visceral and pivoting the design on their Star Wars project. Throughout the development process, we have been testing the game concept with players, listening to the feedback about what and how they want to play, and closely tracking fundamental shifts in the marketplace. It has become clear that to deliver an experience that players will want to come back to and enjoy for a long time to come, we needed to pivot the design. We will maintain the stunning visuals, authenticity in the Star Wars universe, and focus on bringing a Star Wars story to life. Importantly, we are shifting the game to be a broader experience that allows for more variety and player agency, leaning into the capabilities of our Frostbite engine and reimagining central elements of the game to give players a Star Wars adventure of great depth and breadth to explore. So yes, this means it was probably going open world, it was going to have microtransactions, it would be a live service title, everything that Electronic Arts loves nowadays. As most of you all recall now, EA CFO Blake Jorgensen infamously saying that people don't care about linear games anymore. It's just been a whole ridiculous roller coaster ride with EA and Star Wars, and we don't even need to get into the whole Battlefront 2 debacle that happened about a year ago. But anyway, the big new update coming today from Jason Schreier is that Electronic Arts has canceled the open world Star Wars game. So yes, the Star Wars project that Visceral Games was originally working on, it was pivoted, the design, and then EA Vancouver and a couple of other studios were working on. This Star Wars project is now dead. I believe that there still is a Star Wars game coming later this year from Respawn Entertainment. We don't really know too much about it. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and knowing Respawn Entertainment's strengths, it's going to be multiplayer most likely. Maybe a single player campaign, but I'm sure it's going to be multiplayer focused just because of their history. Anyway, let's get to this report again coming from Kotaku's Jason Schreier. He says, Electronic Arts has canceled its open world Star Wars game. According to 3 people familiar with goings-on at the company, the game, announced alongside the shutdown of Visceral Games back in 2017, had been in development at EA's large office in Vancouver. As he continues on, as you guys can see, he discusses the history of this Star Wars project. It was originally called Project Ragtag, and that was the working name that Visceral Games had for it. It was a linear action-adventure game directed by Uncharted director Amy Hennig, and then obviously the design was pivoted at, I believe it was October 2017 when Visceral Games was shut down, and EA Vancouver and a couple of other studios took over the development and tried making it into something else. As far as I understand, the only thing that was being retained were the assets that were made for that project. So it was a completely different game, open world, new story, new everything. Anyway, the only real big detail coming from this article is that Electronic Arts has canceled the open world Star Wars game, and it's unclear what EA Vancouver will be working on next. Maybe it'll be something Star Wars, but it'll be years until we see whatever it is they're making. Honestly though, I'm at the point where I have to say the Star Wars license has turned into a fucking joke. Electronic Arts and Disney need to split. It's time. We're years into this deal. Nothing of good quality has come to fruition, just a bunch of canceled games and a bunch of mediocre crap. Battlefront 2 was ridiculed with controversy. Battlefront 1 also had a lot of problems and a lack of content. And looking to the future, I just don't see anything that's going to be a wow for anybody. The last time that there was really any interest in the Star Wars IP in gaming was Star Wars 1313. Again, that was canceled years ago once Disney took over. And I'm just looking to the future and I just see a lot of crap again. That's all I see with EA. This is one of gaming's most greediest publishers, and in a lot of ways, maybe it's a match made in heaven that Disney and EA came together and have been working together, but honestly, I'm just disappointed with how this Star Wars license has been treated for years. Back in the early 2000s, we had so many great Star Wars games, but now there's just no reason to care for this franchise in gaming at all. Obviously, I know people have their opinions about the movies. I don't care about that right now. I'm just specifically talking about gaming. I think you look at a lot of these other publishers who are doing it right, a lot of these publishers who are making great single-player games. You have Rockstar Games, you have Sony, you have CD Projekt Red, and then there's all kinds of other publishers you could bring up. And then you have EA, who has turned their back on single-player. The one big issue that I've always had with these Star Wars games made by EA, as of the last few years, is the focus on microtransactions, multiplayer, and live services. There is no variety, which is one of my biggest issues with EA. They don't care to make a good Star Wars game. They don't care about this IP. They just care about making the most money, and they're very blatant with that. I know after the whole Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot box debacle, there was rumors that Disney was looking to somehow get out of their Star Wars deal with EA and transfer the license to someone like Ubisoft and Activision. Honestly, I'm not too crazy about that Activision, but Ubisoft is an interesting company. I think that really anybody could do some good with Star Wars IP except for EA and probably Activision. Things need to end. Disney needs to end this. It's just not working. Circling back to the whole loot box debacle that happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2, we know that Electronic Arts and Disney have not had a great relationship, because when that whole mess was going on, reportedly Disney CEO Bob Iger was livid about the situation. He was angry that EA had brought so much negative press attention around Star Wars, especially the timing, because there was a film right around the corner, and it just doesn't look good when, Battlefront 2's in mainstream news. You have all these CNN, the BBC, all these websites reporting on this huge controversy involving Star Wars, and that forced Disney's hand at the time. And now you have to wonder, with all these canceled games, is Disney actually going to do something? And honestly, the biggest roadblock that we're going to have is that Disney does not care about gaming, at least at this point. We have this article coming from Business Insider in 2016, which kind of outlines the problem that we're going to have with Disney and their position on gaming. And it says, so why is the biggest entertainment company in the world walking away from an entire medium? And reportedly, this is what Disney CEO Bob Iger said in an investor call at the time: we feel like we're better off managing the risk that the business delivers by licensing instead of publishing. Disney does not want to get hands-on, they just want to license it out. And right now, we just have no idea what's written down in the EA and Disney Star Wars deal. I'm sure that Disney could somehow negotiate out of it if they wanted to. I think there was some rumors saying that it was going to last around 10 years, and I think the deal started around 2013, 2014. So 10 years, 2023, that's still a long time from now until somebody else could get their hands on this license. I just really don't like the fact that Disney is making this exclusive to one publisher, because now we're seeing the damage that one company can do. And I see Electronic Arts canceling games and just delivering crap. But to try to wrap all this together, EA has canceled another Star Wars game. We've had Star Wars games canceled in the past. I mean, KOTOR 3 was at one point in development. That never came to fruition. That was years ago. Even Pandemic Studios was working on a Battlefront 3. Again, that was canceled. And then there's tons of other Star Wars projects that never made it. But we're here in 2019, and we're at a point where Star Wars has not had a good game in, has it been? It's been about a decade now. And honestly, at this point, I think I can say that Star Wars is becoming forgettable in the gaming space, which is just crazy to me. But I did want to mention that EA has said that they have a tremendous relationship with Disney. That's what their CEO said last year. He said, "You shouldn't believe everything you read in the press. We have a tremendous relationship with Disney. We have built some amazing games together. I don't know where those exist. And we have been very proactive with that relationship in the service of our players." Now, I just really wonder what Disney's reaction to all of this will be, if they have any reaction. If EA was able to get their support with this decision, that's actually pretty darn disappointing. But yeah, up to this point, we really have not had any information on what this open world Star Wars game was about. But I know a lot of people were excited still for what this could be. be. Open world Star Wars with fun exploration, great story, enjoyable gameplay, tons of activities, and side quests is what many fans have been dying for. And honestly, it should not be this difficult to deliver a good Star Wars game like this. But Electronic Arts executives don't seem to care, and I don't think Disney cares. Judging by the reaction I'm seeing right now, people are pissed at EA. Many want Disney to take action. This is another embarrassing blunder. This is becoming a joke at this point. You would think that Disney has to do something. Maybe with enough negative press around this cancellation, it'll force Disney's hand, but that likely is still a long shot. The one thing I do not have right now with Star Wars is hope. Anyway, these are just my thoughts. What do you think about another Star Wars game being canceled? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.